Next, I want to talk about the interaction between culture and conflict. It's pretty fair to say that in our discussions of conflict thus far, we've been looking at it through a very Western lens, and there's definitely a bias there. For example, we've talked about how the avoiding style is seen as being very negative, as a lose-lose scenario. But in other countries and other cultures, they see the avoiding style as demonstrating concern for the other person. So, as you can see, as you might have guessed, the views of conflict that we have are going to change depending on the cultures that we are a part of. And we can better understand some of these cultural differences in conflict management by looking at the concept of face. Face is the projected self that we put out into the world. And these are basically the different masks that we wear in various different social situations and interactions. And the term face work refers to the communication strategies that we employ to project, maintain, or repair our face. And face work can also refer to the maintenance, repair, or challenging of another person's face. And cultural factors are definitely going to influence how we engage in face work, especially in conflict situations. And this brings us back to the idea of individualistic versus collectivistic cultures. In more individualistic cultures, such as the United States and much of Europe, these cultures tend to emphasize individual identity and encourage competition and self-reliance. And therefore, individualistic cultures might see the conflict styles of avoiding and accommodating in those really negative lights, because if we're focused on the individual, on ourselves, we are losing in those scenarios, right? So that could be why individualistic cultures view avoiding and accommodating as being negative, because we're losing in that instance. However, in more collectivistic cultures, such as many Asian cultures and Latin American cultures, these collectivistic cultures tend to value in-group identity over the individual identity. And they value things like conformity to social norms of the in-group. So it's less about the me and more about the we. And so in this case, things like avoiding and accommodating might be seen as positive, because by accommodating, for example, you are giving up your own needs for the needs of the other. Whereas with the avoiding style, you are simply not talking about the conflict, which saves both of your faces, right? So as we can see, the culture that we come from is going to have an impact on the way that we handle conflict. Now, that's not to say that if you come from an individualistic society that it's going to be this way for you as an individual, and if you come from a collectivistic society that it is going to be this way for you as an individual, right? Individuals within these cultures are going to naturally vary, but these cultures as a whole tend to view conflict in these patterned ways.